everybody, welcome to Crack Pack Tuesday number 70 on the Mana League. I'm John as always. We've got ourselves another pack of Eldritch Moon. Next week we will not have Eldritch Moon. We'll have a couple packs of Conspiracy 2 before we go back to a couple weeks of Eldritch Moon before, of course, we're into Kaladesh set review. Very squished kind of time frame from Eldritch Moon to Conspiracy 2 to Kaladesh this year. But we're going to open this, see what's in it, and see what we would take. Pack one, pick one if this was a draft. Up first, we've got ourselves an Olivia's Dragoon. Olivia's Dragoon is 1 and a black for a creature vampire berserker. It's a 2/2. Discard a card. Olivia's Dragoon gains flying until end of turn. Totally playable, totally fine, never ever first pickable. Up next, we have Desperate Sentry. Desperate Sentry is 2 and a white for a 1/2 creature human soldier. When it dies, put a 3/2 colorless Eldrazi horror creature token onto the battlefield. Delirium. Desperate Sentry gets +3/+0 if you have Delirium. I like Desperate Sentry. It's a 1/2 for 3, which kind of sucks. But if it dies, you get a 3/2, which is really good. It replaces itself with a solid creature. If you play this late in the game, you get yourself a 4/2, because you may have Delirium at that point. I think this is fine. I think it's never, ever, ever first pickable. But I think if you build your deck ever so slightly around it, it's pretty darn decent. Especially if you have a sacrifice outlet, like an Extricator of Sin or something. Up next, we have a Weirded Vampire. Weirded Vampire is 3 and a black for a creature vampire horror. It's a 3/3. It has Madness, 2 and a black. Total fill the card, 23rd card. If you have Madness, it becomes like a 22nd and a half card. It's fine, but it's never first pickable. It also looks ever so slightly misprint. All the text is like slightly bolder than it should be. Ever so slightly bolder. Next up, we have Primal Druid. Primal Druid is 1 and a green for a creature human druid. It looks like it's part of the same print run because the type line looks too bold again. So it's a creature human druid. It's an 0/3. When Primal Druid dies, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tapped, then shuffle your library. This is a fine way of getting ramp if you can somehow kill this, but it's not easy to get this to be killed. It blocks pretty well 2-drops and even many 3-drops. Yeah, it's hard to kill this thing. You don't really want to emerge a 2-drop. That's not much of a discount. So Primal Druid doesn't usually make the cut for me, and it never, ever, ever is a first pick. Next up, we have another card that is bolder than it should be. Skursdag Supplicant. Skursdag Supplicant is a creature, human cleric. It's a 2/3. You can pay black, tap, and discard a card to have each player lose 2 life. This is a fine enough way to kind of finish off your opponent if you're ahead on life. It's an okay Madness Enabler, but it's not a card I super go in on. It's a card that I've lost to, but it's not a card that I'm really ready to play myself yet. I don't think it's good enough. I wish it was a vampire. It looks like it should be a vampire. It's covered in blood, but I guess it's just a human that's sacrificing things. Because it is Skursdag, so that is the human cult that worshipped Grizzlebrand and now worships Cormandal. Yeah, Skursdag Supplicant, never first pick. I personally don't really play. Alright, so those 3 cards were part of the way too bold print error run. Now we're back into regular, not super bolded. Prophetic Ravings. Prophetic Ravings is a single red mana for enchantment aura. Enchant creature has haste, end, tap, discard a card, draw a card. We've already talked about this on a Crack Pack Tuesday. I don't think this card's worth a card. It opens yourself up to blowouts and it doesn't really do anything. No power toughness increases. Not my kind of aura. Never first pick, never play. Up next, we have another aura that we've already also talked about in a Crack Pack a week or 2 ago. 1 and a white, Lunarch Mantle, enchantment aura, enchant a creature gets +2/+2 and has pay 1, sack a permanent. This creature gains flying until end of turn. This gives power and toughness, and it gives evasion if you sacrifice a permanent, which can just be a land later in the game when you have more lands than you can count. This is fine, but it's not great. It's never first pickable again, and it's something that you should also probably cut here and there and definitely know when to sideboard out. Not in the running for first pick, but it is a playable-ish. I don't want to say playable, that's a strong word, but playable-ish aura. Still no first picks. We have Fogwalker. Fogwalker is 1 and a blue for a creature spirit, 1/3 Skulk. When Fogwalker enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls doesn't on-tap during its controller's next on-tap step. It does not tap the creature. I think everybody's well aware of that by now, and that's one of its huge downsides. Yeah, it's a 1/3 Skulk. That can attack in and not be blocked. That's not good. Putting your opponent on a 20-turn clock is not good. This is a defensive creature. This is a defensive creature. It's a 1/3. This is not good. I don't like Fogwalker. People were really high on this when the set first came out. I was down on it, and I think I was correct. I don't like Fogwalker. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do enough of anything to be a good card. Last common, Borrowed Hostility. Borrowed Hostility is a single red mana for an instant. Escalate 3. Choose one or both. Target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. Target creature gains first strike until end of turn. We talked about this recently. I like this in the blue-red spells deck with Mercurial Geists. Outside of that deck, it's a very 23rd card combat trick. Never, ever, ever first pickable. Main deckable if you need it. Main deckable in blue-red spells. Our first uncommon is Abandon Reason. Abandon Reason is 2 and a red for an instant. Up to 2 target creatures each get +1/+0 and gain first strike until end of turn. You can madness this for 1 and a red, so you can get a 1 mana discount if you can discard this. It's a fine combat trick. It goes in sort of the aggressive deck to help your creatures get through, to help your creatures trade, help them get a little bit more damage. It's a fine card, but again, like Borrowed Hostility, pretty 23rd cardish. Definitely never a first pick. Hey, we got there. We got a first pick. Murder. Let's put it right up there. Actually, let's just keep it in the center, because that's probably where it's going to end up unless our rare is balmy as heck. Murder, 1 black, instant, destroy target creature. Pure, unadulterated, instant, unconditional removal. Snap first pick in almost any pack. And I'm willing to bet that this is one of those packs. Murder, fantastic. Our last uncommon is Foul Emissary. Foul Emissary is 2 and a green for a creature human horror. It's a 1/1. When Foul Emissary enters the battlefield, it's not a may, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of the library in any order. So when it comes out, you have to look at the top 4. You don't have to show anything, but regardless, you have to put all 4 on the bottom of your library. Just be aware of that. When you sacrifice Foul Emissary while casting a card with Emerge, at no other times, only when you're emerging this, you can put a 3/2 colorless Eldrazi horror creature token onto the battlefield. I like Foul Emissary in a creature-heavy deck. For the first paragraph, it's pretty decent, even though it is 3 mana 1/1. If you are emerging things, this thing becomes awesome. I love this in an Emerge deck. I have done broken things with this. I really like Foul Emissary. I've second picked it. I've not first picked it yet, but I have second picked it. It can stay up in the corner, but it's not beating Murder. Our rare is actually pretty good. Imprisoned in the Moon. 2 and a blue for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature, land, or planeswalker. Enchanted permanent is a colorless land with tap, add colorless to your mana pool, and loses all other card types and abilities. If Murder wasn't in this pack, Imprisoned in the Moon would very likely be the first pick. But Murder is in this pack. Imprisoned in the Moon is just really good. Yes, it ramps your opponent, but who cares? You're killing their best creature. Turning their best creature into a waste is really, 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 really good. Imprisoned in the Moon, 100% first pickable. It can stay in frame, but we know what's going to happen here. Our final card is Conduit of Storms. Conduit of Storms is 2 and a red for a creature werewolf horror. It's a 2/3. Whenever it attacks, add red to your mana pool at the beginning of your next main phase this turn. Pay 3 red, transform Conduit of Storms. Or, of course, you're getting a red mana, so really it's pay 3 and a red. You get Conduit of Emrakul, 5/4. Whenever it attacks, add colorless to your mana pool at the beginning of your next main phase. Conduit of Storms is pretty good. I think in some very weak packs it could be first pickable. All 3 other cards in frame would have to not be in this pack for this to be first pickable, but they are. So in most packs I don't think it's going to be first pickable, but it is a good card, and I would take it relatively highly and kind of look towards a red-green, rampy, werewolfy kind of deck thing. But this pack, not really in consideration. So this pack, we have 3 cards in consideration, but come on, let's be real. It's Murder. Murder is just absolutely fantastic. You should snap pick that in almost all cases. Fantastic card right there. Let me know in the comments down below if you disagree, if you would have taken Imprisoned in the Moon of the Emissary, or if you would have taken the Murder. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at The Mana Leak. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at facebook.com/TheManaLeak and twitch.tv/TheManaLeak. You found me here on YouTube. You've got that comment section down below. Please make use of it. Click that thumbs up icon if you like the content. Click the subscribe button if you want to see more. And as always, if you do have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time.